If you've ever looked closely at your Netflix bill, you might have noticed you're not paying any sales tax. Well, the federal Liberal government has noticed that as well, and as CBC News has learned, it's looking into that. As it stands, only Canada-based digital content providers are required to collect taxes when charging for their services. For example, Bell's Crave TV, but Netflix and its foreign counterparts are under no obligation to charge their customers extra. A Freedom of Information request by CBC News, though, found the federal Liberals have been looking into forcing that tax collection for months. Government research on the issue delivered in June says the lack of sales tax collection, quote, not only represents a significant loss of potential tax revenue for government, it can also place domestic digital suppliers at an unfair competitive disadvantage. For more on this, we are joined by Meghan Sali. She is a digital rights specialist with OpenMedia's. Thanks again for joining us. Assuming this does go through, what kind of impact do you think it would have on Canadians who use Netflix and other services like it?
I think Canadians might see a modest rise in their bill. We're looking at something that's applying the sales tax, so that's 12% GST, HST. So they might see a modest rise of about $1 if you're paying $9 for Netflix.
Now, how likely is it, do you think, that we'll see this new research lead to new rules that companies like Netflix and others actually have to follow?
I think the government has been looking at lots of different policy options, and we certainly think that closing this long-standing tax loophole and requiring these out-of-Canada services to actually collect and remit HST is a much better system than some of the other policies that they've been looking at, such as the internet tax, which would certainly see prices rise for Canadians' monthly internet bills. It would see our digital divide really deepen, and it would see more Canadians pushed offline. So I think that this is a really positive alternative to some of the other policies that they've been considering.
And we know that there's been a lot of controversy around when it comes to the difference between the open and free internet versus those who are trying to monetize it or have more fees on it. Now, this same note mentioned that the competitive disadvantage to Canadian companies, that it also predicted that, but it would also mention that it would be hard to enforce tax collection on something like this. So is this more symbolic than anything else, do you think, or could it work?
I think we've seen this successfully done in other jurisdictions. If you look at Netflix in the UK, they are actually paying VAT, which is the same as a sales tax here in Canada.
Tax,
exactly.
Yeah.
So I think that we've seen it successfully done in other jurisdictions, and it certainly could be something that we can see successfully done in Canada. I think we'll have to wait and see and assess whether or not the government is implementing the tax in a way that's actually making this effective.
All right. Meghan Sali, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me.